Good morning and welcome to the Oak Leaf News. I'm Claire.
And I'm Landon Balk.
Obviously, the big news is the election, and we will be covering that shortly. But before we go there, we thought you might like something to take the edge off first. What do you have for us, Landon?
Well, Claire, we're going to begin with a story on how to make your own hard cider. That should help take the edge off, right? Let's take a look.
It is harvest season here in Sonoma County, and gardens are abundant with veggies. Another often forgotten about delicacy of the area are apples. The fruiting trees are so productive and plentiful that they are often overlooked, leading to tons of apples going to waste. There are hundreds of different recipes on how to preserve apples so they can be enjoyed throughout the cold of winter, a reminiscent taste of summer days. Among all the creations possible, nothing warms you up like some homemade hard apple cider. Simple steps can turn these otherwise wasted apples into a fermented delight. A few specialized tools make the job easier, but a home juicer works just fine for smaller batches. For large batches, larger receptacles called carboys are needed, although a 5-gallon water jug is adequate. An apple grinder and press will make short work of the 100 to 150 pounds of apples needed to obtain 5 gallons of juice. About 3 apples weigh a pound. Once a substantial amount of apples have been gathered, they can be run through the grinder, being sure to catch the ground product. When enough is collected to fill the press, take a break from grinding and fill the press with the apple shavings. Have a bucket already in place when dumping. Liquid will begin to pour before any pressure is applied. Crank the screwing mechanism until the amount of juice coming out stops, increasing after each torque, flowing to a drizzle. Reserve the crank and empty out the spent apple shaving. Repeat until you have a total of about 4 gallons of liquid. Funnel juice from the bucket into the carboy. It is best to have some space for bubbling at the top of the carboy. Add yeast. We are using an M2 wine yeast. Its alcohol content can reach the mid to low teens, making it fermented dry, meaning the yeast have eaten all the sugar. During the fermentation process, you have the choice to either create a bubbly apple cider or a high-gravity apple wine. This is dependent on how long it is left to ferment, and if any additional sugar is added. After 4 weeks, your elixir will be ready for racking and bottling. In order to prevent the alcohol from turning into vinegar while storing, add half of the sulfite tablet per gallon to cider. Siphon the produced cider or wine from carboy into clean, sealable bottles. Once racked and bottled, you can indulge right away or let age for as long as you desire. Drink home brew responsibly. This film was brought to you by the Fall 2016 J55 Video Journalism class.
Do you need a little more time to make your cider? Well, regardless, we're going to jump right into the election now.
Earlier in the month, we surveyed individuals on the campus to get their thoughts on the presidential race and how they thought they might vote in the upcoming election.
We have to warn you, some people might find this information offensive. Let's take a look at what the interviewed students had to say.
This November is the upcoming general election. So first off, will you be voting in this upcoming election?
I have no idea.
I will be, yeah.
I will be voting.
Yes, I will. No, I won't.
Will you be voting this November?
I will not.
I am, yeah, I'm going to be voting.
Yeah.
I have to vote, so yes.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
I've been debating. It's like a 50-50, but I think I'm leaning towards no.
I definitely will be, yes.
Yes, I will.
I will be.
Yes. Well, I've been planning to, but things have been kind of getting in my way, and I'm not sure at the moment, but I would like to.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
I'm unsure.
Definitely yes.
As far as voting for a candidate, it's really tough. I really don't like Hillary, but I mean, then again, I don't like Trump, so.
I kind of both don't. I don't like Hillary or Donald Trump. I think they're not like good. I don't think they'd be good presidents.
Why? Can you explain a little bit?
Well, Donald Trump, I just don't like him at all overall. And like I've heard news about Hillary Clinton and stuff she has done, so I don't know, like obviously I don't like Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton I don't think I would like either as a president.
Which candidate are you more leaning towards voting for?
Hillary Clinton.
And why is that?
Just because I don't want to vote for Donald Trump. I mean, it's not because I'm totally in love with her. I've been growing more towards her, like from a issue standpoint recently, ever since the first debate. But other than that, it's like I can't put the country's fate in Donald Trump, you know?
I don't plan to vote regardless this election cycle. However, if I were voting, I'd probably have to place my vote with Clinton, unfortunately. Like, that's just the lesser of two evils in my opinion.
I don't support either of the candidates. Even though, like, I prefer Hillary Clinton, I feel like the Democratic Party didn't choose a candidate that was representative of how a large portion of the party feels. And I feel like they shouldn't get my vote for that. But I also really don't want Donald Trump to be president.
This is one of those elections where, unfortunately, more people are voting negatively, meaning they're voting more against a candidate than for a candidate. The exact percentage is hard to pin down, but a significant number of people are voting that way. And you know, you really wish voting would be more of an affirmative act, like you really believe in the candidate. But right now we have two candidates who are fairly unpopular. Trump substantially more unpopular than Hillary, but both are still what we call upside down, meaning that more people have an unfavorable opinion of them than a favorable one. So it's kind of an unprecedented choice in that way. Usually candidates have a more positive rating going in, but that's not the case this time.
I feel like the candidates running to be our next president, one is a racist and the other is a liar, so I don't really think I support either one.
Donald Trump is everything that's wrong with our culture, and Hillary Clinton is everything that's wrong with our government, and it kind of sucks. We have to choose between that.
They're both, it's not the lesser of two evils, it's the evil of two lessers is really what we're voting for.
There's not a candidate that I feel comfortable voting for, and I'm not going to vote just between two people that I don't agree with, just because it's my only two options.
I think it's, you know, obviously a right to do a protest vote, and even a protest vote, if it's not for a third-party candidate or a friend of theirs or something like that, is fine if that's what they want to do. But the most important thing, obviously, is to vote. And whether you choose to vote on that particular race, you know, that can be a form of protest there. But the most important thing is to vote. And, you know, there's a lot of people who say the chances are overwhelming. Either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump is going to be president, so maybe that's who you should choose from. But that's a personal decision that everyone has to make, and people will do that on their own with their own logic and opinions and emotions, and that's obviously part of a free country to do that. But by far the most important thing is to vote, because that's your license to complain for the next 4 years. So.
I mean, a lot of people say that one vote doesn't really make a difference, but part of being an American is having the right to vote, and I think that it's such a waste to just throw that vote away and not even have your voice be heard.
I think that that every student, every young person, every American has to consider their obligation to their nation, to their country, to their society, to go out and at least vote. They don't have to be enthusiastic, but everyone needs to vote. As I was saying today in class, the only reason that politicians or those in government or those elected officials have any response to the people or have any alignment with the interests of the people is because people vote. If you don't vote, it's more important to vote than for whom you vote, I think. With the possible exception of this election, maybe whom you vote for would give a run for the money. But it's absolutely essential for everyone to vote. And it's discouraging, it's embarrassing, it's despicable. Apathy is despicable, especially this year.
A lot of people frame it as like the lesser of two evils, but I don't think that that can really apply right now because it's like a narcissistic egomaniac with no experience in politics and is literally just doing this for his own ego boost and to like give attention to like his brand versus someone who has like genuine decades of experience around presidential office and in the Senate. And so I think that like Hillary Clinton may not be like a necessarily even a good person, but I don't think that she's like an evil orange overlord dictator type.
As a 20-year-old, it's hard to like face reality now because we have our ability to vote, and what we do now will affect the future, including our kids and grandkids. So it's just it's a hard hit with reality to realize that like you have the responsibility now to choose the fate of our country, and I guess like it's a lot taken, but it's what I have to do.
I really don't want Trump to be president, and I feel like going into the future, looking back and like seeing that like if I hadn't done anything, I would feel really crappy if Trump did become president, and then there's just like a bunch of bad things happen, and I'm just like, I didn't do anything.
Now, I know that may look biased, but the truth is of about 30-some students interviewed, only about 2 or 3 had any interest in Trump at all.
With that in mind, let's see how the presidential race is shaping up. For that, let's go to Eli and the election map to see how things are fermenting. Eli?
So here we have a map of the projected state winners, but thanks to the magic of the internet, we have live updates. Currently, Clinton has won Delaware, the District of Columbia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Vermont, while Trump has Indiana, Kentucky, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia. Interestingly, Clinton is leading in both Florida and Texas, surprisingly, with about 2,000 votes. So it'll be interesting how that shakes up in the coming hours. That's all we have so far.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Eli. Earlier today, we had a crew out on the street checking with voters to hear what they had to say now that the big day has arrived.
You may want to grab your apple cider before we roll to this next clip. Let's take a look at that now.
With Media 19, SRJC, and we have Abby here. Okay, well, we just want to know who your presidential vote was, if you don't mind.
I'm usually a little bit shy about saying who I voted for, but I will say that I brought my 2 sons with me to the polling place today, and it was really inspiring to get to bring them to the polling place with me and get to have them share in that experience. It was very special. This is the first election that they'll really remember, so it was a big moment. Our whole family went together to vote.
Hi, Leanna. We're just curious who you voted for president, if you don't mind telling us.
I'll be voting for Hillary Clinton later this evening.
Great.
I feel like we could have done better in nominees, honestly.
We're just wondering who your presidential vote will be, and that's really the only thing we have to ask.
I'm not voting for Trump, I'm voting for Hillary.
Great. Aaron, we're just kind of curious who you voted for president or if you voted yet.
I actually did vote, and I ended up voting for Hillary today.
Okay, great. Would you please let us know who you voted for president, and then go ahead and talk about the other choice that we didn't get?
Yeah. So, based on my experience volunteering, I had to vote for Hillary Clinton because she was most closely tied to Bernie Sanders and the ideas that he put forth. It was a toss-up between her and Jill Stein. Where he was at in terms of support was just astonishing, and Trump constantly talks about, you know, no one's ever done what we've done in our campaign. Well, Bernie Sanders, you're emulating Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders actually is the man drawing out 40, 50, 30,000 people.
And we have to go, but Nico, thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Well, that's what people are saying. Time will tell how the election actually plays out, and we'll be keeping you informed as things develop.
Besides the presidential election, there are many local and state measures on the ballot as well. We would like to take a closer look at some of those with you now. Proposition 56 is a cigarette tax meant to fund healthcare, tobacco use prevention, research, and law enforcement. Official voter information guide indicates that a vote yes favors increasing the current cigarette tax by $2 per pack, with an equivalent increase in other tobacco products and electronic cigarettes containing nicotine. According to the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, California's current levied tax is 87 cents per pack of cigarettes. The average state tobacco tax is $1.65, wherein 14 states have lower tobacco taxes than California, and 34 states and D.C. have higher taxes. It is estimated that the measure would raise between $1.3 and $1.6 billion in additional state revenue in a fiscal year 2017, 2018, and the first year of the measure's implementation. We encourage you to consult your official voter information guide for more details.
The controversial Proposition 62 repeal the death penalty is also on the ballot Tuesday. A vote of yes favors repealing the death penalty as the maximum punishment for persons found guilty of murder and replaces it with the imprisonment without the possibility for parole. Currently, California is one of the 30 states in which the death penalty is still legal. What makes the vote on this proposition of even more interest is that the Proposition 66 is another death penalty related measure on the ballot, which is not compatible with Proposition 62. As such, if both are voted yes, with one of the votes will separate the other. Proposition 66 would keep the death penalty in place but supports making the changes to the procedures governing state court appeals and petitions that challenge death penalty convictions and sentences. Both propositions also seek to require prisoners on death how to work and pay restitutions to victims' families. However, the circulation of the amount of varieties within each proposition.
You can find more detailed information on both propositions, including a side-by-side comparison on the website ballotpedia.org.
Right, well, that's some pretty heavy stuff. Let's stay tuned as we keep you informed on the latest stuff on the election. Now, let's take a look at the sports. In women's soccer, Bear Clubs faced Sacramento City College on Friday at home. The match turned out to be an interesting turn of events. Sacramento City sat all players in the back and defended the entire game. Santa Rosa fought to find a solution and beat the wall of Sacramento City College players.
Villalobos.
not really good of like our performance-wise, but we got the W, so we're good. We play American River next year, and we're just trying to get that W2 to get first in the conference.
While the soccer team did pretty well, our football team didn't do quite as well, unfortunately. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of their game against San Mateo. The team got some points on the board early in the game. The score was 17-7 early in the first quarter. Then the second quarter, with a score of 20-7, the Bear Cubs started losing their mojo. They got hit. Well, that's all we have for today. We hope you have enjoyed the program.
Stay tuned for more election coverage in the future, and we will see you next time, Santa Rosa Junior College Oak Leaf News.
Thank you and good night.